What's up, guys? Welcome back. Today I'm going to be making this kind of a sit-down video about my round pin. As you can tell from the title, I've been meaning to make this video for a while and just have not sat down and made the time to do it. So today we're going to be talking about my round pin. I have mentioned this in some previous videos. Some of you guys were here on my channel during the summertime when I built my round pin, and I told you guys that I was going to make a video kind of explaining and breaking down how I built it and how much I paid for it. So if you haven't seen my round pin, I built an all wooden round pin. I know most people tend to go for the metal panel round pins these days, and if those weren't so expensive, I would absolutely have done that. But I kind of built my round pin on a budget and did it over time. This was a several months project, so it's not like I paid for all of this at once, although even if I did, it would still drastically save me money. So I wanted to share with you guys how I built it in case you guys also have the tools to build one. So yeah, let's get into it. My round pin is 35 foot across approximately. That's what I measured it out as. It probably got a little bit skewed as I was building it, but it's a 35 foot across round pin, which is quite small for a round pin. Some of you guys are probably used to 60, 70 foot across round pins, and those are by far very nice, much nicer, but also more money. So the one I built is 35 foot across, and really for the amount of groundwork that I'm going to be doing in it should be fine. I have worked in small round pins before and successfully broke out horses in them, so it's not so much about it being a ginormous round pin. It just needed to be a functional round pin for me. And I don't have a lot of very large size horses anyways, so I think it's going to do its job perfectly fine. But it's 35 foot, so overall pretty small. So if you were wanting to go much bigger than that, then obviously this makeup of costs here is going to be lower than what you're going to be looking at. But to start off, the tools that are needed for this was my post hole digger. I actually went through 2 of them making this round pin because just the soil where I live is very dense clay. So I use a couple throughout the process of building this, but I just had the handheld post hole diggers. I did not have a fancy gas powered one, like an auger that just did all the work for you. I hand dug every single post hole myself. So I had a post hole digger. Those run about $56, at least where I'm at, maybe more or less, or if you already have one. That was my issue, is that I already had one, so I was using the one that I had and it started to break, so I had to buy another one. But a post hole digger, you're gonna need wood posts, you're gonna need the rails, so the rails were the most expensive part for me, and then screws, and you're also gonna need power tools. So for me, we just used I think the only thing we used was an impact driver, so that was about the only thing power tool wise that I can remember. So I'm gonna go ahead and insert the footage here of me putting in all of the wood posts. So I actually scored really good on these wood posts because we're kind of putting together our horse farm here. I was constantly checking Facebook Marketplace for used fencing supplies or just fencing where you could get it cheaper, places like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, etc. So I actually got a whole trailer full of these wooden posts for free. So I really scored there because wood posts aren't super cheap either. So I got all of these posts for free. Now I am going to input later the costs of everything that I paid, as well as if I would have paid for the posts, but I got all of these posts. I hand dug 12 holes for the posts, and I kind of had to determine how many posts and how far they were gonna have to be based on the rails that I was gonna use. So I went out and I bought landscape timbers, is actually what they're called, and that's what I used to build it. They're called landscape timbers, and they're 8-foot posts, mostly used for like garden beds and landscaping and stuff like that, but they're solid wood and they work, and they're so far are holding up really good. So I bought those, laid them all out in the 35-foot kind of area that I wanted them, and then accordingly marked out where I was gonna have to dig my posts. So I'm gonna go ahead and insert some of that footage here. Hi guys, welcome back. Today, this is gonna be an extended video, so I don't know when you're gonna be seeing this, but today I wanted to start this video of me building my own round pin. It's not gonna be massive, it's not gonna be perfect, but I'm building it myself on a budget. This round pin I think is probably gonna cost me $200 or $300. So yeah, I figured for all of you budget-friendly equestrians out there, you know, on my channel, we're always looking for ways to do things ourselves and save some cash. So I figured I will film this process for you guys. Currently, I have everything laid out. I have a little stake every 8 foot, which is where a wood post is gonna go. It's gonna be made out of wood. It's 35-foot diameter, so it is pretty small. A lot of them are like 60 or 70 feet diameter, so twice as big as this. But it will be, it will still be functional for groundwork and maybe putting a few rides on in here. So yeah, so there is a stake every 8 foot. And then I have, these are 8-foot landscape timbers is what's gonna be the fence. So I have them all laid out, and I wanted to lay them all out first before I put the wood posts in, so I can kind of adjust. Like this one has a pretty big gap between the other one there. So in case I moved one a little too far or it just doesn't look or feel right. So I've got them, all the landscape timbers laid out all the way across, and now I'm gonna go get my wood posts. I'm gonna start putting in wood posts. Okay, so after I did all that, I had to take off all of the insulators that came on these wood posts. So the person that I got them from used these posts for a fence. So I had to go take all of the insulators off. And of course I saved those to reuse those later, but had to go take all of those off. Once I got them off, I could start putting the rails on, and that's where I should have gotten more footage, so I apologize in advance. I kind of had to put a halt on building the round pin for a while because, like I said, I did this over several months and bought things a little bit at a time, kind of with each paycheck. So I had to buy more landscape timbers, And then I waited a few more paychecks, bought more landscape timbers, and also the hardware that I used was kind of expensive. So I think that's probably the most expensive part of my expenses for this round pin was the screws. I bought 8-inch long deck screws. So they were pretty long because I figured all of my posts were about 4 inches around, or 4 inches wide, and then about 4 inches to go into the landscape timber I thought would, you know, be enough to give it some good stability. So I bought 8-inch long deck screws and I show you them here in these next clips, but I bought those. So far they've done a really good job. They're really strong and really good quality, but they were not cheap. They were like $6.99 a pound, and I think every time I bought them it was like $20 or $25 in screws on top of the landscape timbers. So we got the hardware and then we started inputting the landscape timbers. So here in this next footage you're gonna see me putting in the last landscape timbers, which I did in the middle of winter, so like pretty recently. And I kind of show you how I did that. All right, so it's winter now in this clip. I've taken my time finishing this round pin just because it does cost money, so I've kind of been spacing it out between my paychecks, but I have gotten most of the rails up in between the posts. This is where we're at, but some of them are too long. Like this, I'm working on the bottom set right now, and like this one, oh, there went my chainsaw. It's just not gonna fit even if I've got the one side screwed in already. So I'm just taking my chainsaw and cutting 1 inch or so off the end of the ones that don't fit or a little too long. So it's much easier to have somebody hold this and have somebody else put the screws on each side. You can see here, that's the screw. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there. I got 8-inch deck screws and just put it all the way through the post. So each rail on both sides has a deck screw that goes all the way through the post into the rail. So it's probably that long. And they're slightly staggered, as you can see, because obviously I couldn't get one in if they were exactly the same height. So they're a little bit staggered. Some of them are a little farther apart than others, like this one. I'm noticing just now, like the top is much closer than the bottom one. I probably would have put it up a little bit higher if I was paying attention, but it's not a big deal. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's, yeah, a homemade round pin. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to cut the rest of these to fit. Got it. Ugh. Recommendation: get a bit that is the perfect size for your screws and use an impact, not a hammer drill. But these are the screws. So they're like 8-inch deck screws. And so far they've worked pretty well. So now that you've seen that, you kind of get how we had to go about putting these landscape timbers in. It was so much easier with my boyfriend's help. So if you have two people, it will literally just fly by. So we have to hold the landscape timbers in place, put a screw in one side and then a screw in the other side. And so all of the rails on the round pin are slightly staggered. You have one section where it's at, and then one section is slightly lower. Then you have to go higher with the next section, because obviously if they're at the same height on the post, you can't get a screw in either side. So once all of the posts were in, I put a gate on. Actually, I put a gate on before I had all the rails on, but the gate, I also got the gate used. I got it off Facebook Marketplace for like $40, and it's a little bit too long for the gate hole. That's kind of the harder part about having a weird diameter for the round pin. It's 35 foot, so the gate hole came out to be like 11 feet or like 10.5 feet. I don't remember exactly. So my gate is a little, just slightly too long for the hole, but it works. It's a gate. It keeps the horse in there. So I got a used gate, and then the hardware needed to put the gate on. I just bought the average screw in gate hinge holders. So they work good. As far as putting in the rails, somehow, like, as I was digging all the holes for the posts, some posts are a little bigger, some are a little smaller, some aren't as exactly straight. So there were some landscape timbers that were just a hair too short, and there was some that were a little bit too long, and I had to use my chainsaw, as I showed you, to cut off a couple inches or something. But overall, it looks really nice. I think it looks very like Western classic round pin, and so far it's working really well. My current project horse is living in it right now, and it is held up perfectly fine. So hopefully we're gonna get a lot of use out of it. I'm gonna go through some of the costs, basically everything that it costs to build this round pin. So the landscape timbers, there is 33 landscape timbers altogether. There's 11 sections of rails around the circumference. So all in all, the landscape timbers were about $6.99 a piece. So they cost about my boyfriend's dogs live in the other room, and I don't know if one is dreaming or what, but I keep hearing like little barky, whiny sounds. Anyways, so the landscape timbers altogether cost about $230.67 was my estimate for all of them that I bought. I didn't buy them all at the same time, so altogether I should have spent about $230 on the rails by themselves. So now, as I said earlier, I did not buy the fence posts. I actually got them free, but if I were to have bought the fence posts, currently 4 by 6, I think they're 4 inches by 6 foot long, wooden posts go for about $6.99, $7.99. Our local farm store has them for $7.99 a piece. So there's 12 of them out there. If I would have bought them all, it would have been about $96. I have $95.88 is about how much it would cost for the wood posts. I bought the gate for $40 off Facebook Marketplace, and the two gate hangers. What's their actual name? I call them like a hinge, but I know that's the hinge is what goes on the gate. The hangers that you screw into the post run about $6.99 as well. So both of those about $12 or $13. So really, if I bought the wood posts and everything, it would cost me about $438 full cost for that. Now, that does not include the post hole digger and the impact driver that I used. So a post hole digger, like I said, a handheld one like I bought, is about $56. So if you have to buy one of those, you have to add in that cost. And then your impact driver is going to be expensive if you don't have one or have one that you can borrow from somebody. So altogether, about $438. Oh, and my hardware. I added in my hardware as well. about $20. Every time I bought the deck screws, ran me about $60. So yeah, $438 altogether is what it would have cost in just the materials to build the round pen. Now, because I didn't pay for the posts, I already had a post hole digger and an impact driver. It cost me about $340 to put together my round pen. So that's kind of a breakdown of it for you. If you're looking to build your own, or if you're capable of building your own, then yeah, it wasn't hard to do. It's not hard to do. It's just having the time to do it, the patience, having the materials to do it, and where to buy the materials to do it. So far, the round pen is holding up really well. Oakley is living in it right now because I don't have another turnout for her. And she's not broken anything. It's working really well. So I'm excited to use it this spring for my lessons and to do groundwork with her and stuff like that. So that's how I built my round pen. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like videos like this, breakdowns and DIYs, I'm all about doing DIY things on a budget. So if you guys have any other questions or video requests, make sure to leave them down below, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye. I don't know what that was. It was supposed to be this. Bye.